Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Jinx updated complete guide. So of course, as usual, refer to her basic guide that I'll put up in the cards above for her skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as some combos. But without further ado, let's jump straight into talking about her items. So first up, the main concept of crit build nowadays is you always want to get crit as quickly as possible. However, with Jinx you have kind of a problem, which is that Jinx really wants attack speed. And this kind of presents a problem where you kind of want attack speed, but you want crit at the same time because you don't want to delay your crit too much. So kind of the solution is you got to go for like 2 attack speed items, and one of them isn't a crit item because you don't really want to go for, like, let's say Phantom Dancer into Magnetic Blaster, because like it's just better to go for Runans if you're going to go for 2 attack speed items anyway. So it's kind of delaying your crit spike by quite a bit and needing to go for IE as your second last item. But really, what most Jinx players have pretty much found out is that this is still the way to go for Jinx despite the IE changes. So of course, Jinx is a very late game focused ADC who is like really, hyper carry that scales very well into late game. So this kind of fits her identity in that sense. So since we're already going for so much attack speed, I'm actually going to go for the Gluttonous Greaves, which for more attack damage, and the Omnivamp instead of going for attack speed boots. You could argue that attack speed boots is good here because it gives you the early attack speed, but I think that in the grand scheme of things, you are getting attack speed items on your second and third items, so I do prefer going for Gluttonous Greaves here. For the first item, of course, we're gonna go for Bloodthirster, which gives you the best stats. Huge amount of AD, physical VAM, and additional stats when you're high on health. If you feel that you need the safety, you could go for Bloodthirster as the first item as well. Nothing wrong with that. And then we're going to go into Runan's Hurricane as our next item. You could go for Magnetic Blaster first if you want, but in my opinion, the order of these 2 items are not too important. So with Runan's, you get, of course, attack speed, you get the on-hit, the extra AD, as well as, of course, being able to hit 3 people at one time. I like to go for this earlier because in team fights, if I am able to just hit one low HP guy with the Runan's Bolt, I get a reset and I'm able to kind of try to take over the fight. Whereas with Blaster, you kind of get similar stats, except you get crit. But this one gives you the additional attack range, of course, which of course is very useful more for single target cases. Although you do have that splash damage now from the static shift kind of passive, so you could go for this second as well. But overall, these 2 items mainly are for the attack speed. Of course, the passives are really good as well. And finally, on your second last item, you're going to finally go into IE, where you're going to get that huge injection of AD as well as the boost to your crit damage. At this point, you're at 75% crit, so you should be critting majority of the time and making use of the Infinity passive on the IE. And finally, as your last item, of course, we have more Reminder for the Armor Pen as well as the Grievous Wounds. So for the runes, of course, we're going to go for Lethal Tempo for the attack speed. In the early game, this is mainly where your attack speed comes from. In the late game, you still get a ton of attack speed from this, so it's just overall the best rune for Jinx. You go for Brutal, of course, for the damage, for the on-hit damage, because you are going to auto-attack a lot. Giant Slayer, generally the best rune in this slot, and of course Legend Alacrity for more attack speed because you really need the attack speed. And for the runes, you can for the minor rune, you can go for Hex Splash for the extra mobility, or of course you can go for Bone Plating for the extra damage blocking in lane and in late game as well. I went for Hex Splash this particular game. And of course for the spells, you want to go for Flash and Ghost majority of the time. Unless there is a lot of threat to you, then you might want to go Exhaust. And without all that said, let's now move on to our gameplay. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. As usual, just to remind you guys to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll, of course, be sure to address them. So as I mentioned in my previous video on the Crit Twitch build, the one where we got a pentakill, check that out if you have not. We did play with that, with the Yuumi, and this is the same Yuumi because we did end up playing 4 games together, and we ended up winning 2 and losing 2, and the 2 wins are actually the ones that I posted. The 2 losses, not really interesting games. One of them we just got destroyed, the other one we did very well, but our whole team was kind of letting us down. Anyways, this early game is going to be one of the most boring early games you've ever seen, so let me just preface this a little bit. I think the next like 5 minutes we do pretty much, I mean, it's not pretty much nothing, but we basically just farm under tower or slash near our tower, and we just try to land a little bit of poke with the rockets wherever we can. Of course, as I mentioned in the last video, Yuumi lanes are kind of a little bit different the way you want to play them, because the way you want to play Yuumi lanes is you want to take short trades, a little bit of poke here and there. You don't want to go for all-ins, definitely. You can see I'm just rocketing the Jhin and the Thresh and just getting CS in the meantime. Yuumi is also landing some poke. You can see we have actually poked Jhin down a really decent amount, nearly to half health. and we're of course going for the rockets. He's now pretty much at half health, and this is honestly how you play the lane well. With Yuumi lanes, you just want to poke people down, and you just want to make them lose health for no reason. Other than that, you just want to maintain your farm, make sure you get every CS, and that's pretty much it. The reason why you never want to go for huge trades is unless you can kill them. If you go for an all-in, Yuumi isn't able to really show her strength, which is being able to sustain you through the early game. So if you take short trades, you will probably lose, let's say, a third of your health. Yuumi can press E and you can pretty much heal all that health back. Of course, if you get caught by Thresh or something, it's not exactly your fault. Like, you didn't really want to get caught, so you will lose probably more health than what you really wanted to. But Yuumi can still probably heal you up as long as you don't go for like an all-in where you get hooked like outside of their tower and you have nowhere to run. Like, you have to run all the way back to your tower and you pretty much have, you know, there's nothing much you can really do. You know, then yeah, that's definitely not what you want to do. So here we're doing a very good job playing the Yuumi lane by basically maintaining the wave at around our side and poking down the Jin a very good amount so that he cannot really you know, fight. Now the alternative method is to poke down the Thresh so he can't go in, and if he goes in he guaranteed dies. But I prefer to actually just poke the Jin because this dissuades the Jin from going in with the Thresh, because if Thresh goes in, then Jin is going to have to want to follow up, and if he doesn't, Thresh is going to be left high and dry. Now of course the issue with the Yuumi lane is we're not going to have priority. So you can see here that when Kha'Zix is actually doing the skull, we actually are not really in a position to rotate. Now actually because Thresh rotated so early, I'm actually able to leave the wave and rotate a little bit, but then we go back to the wave because no fight is really happening. But most of the time you will be pushed in, most of the time you won't have any priority, so most of the time if there's a river fight happening, the enemy team is going to make it there before you, and your team is going to be put at a disadvantage because of that. But it's kind of just the nature of how it works. Now honestly, if you don't die in lane at all, it's already kind of a really solid win, because Jinx Yuumi is going to be unkillable when you reach like 2-3 items, you know, completely. So I'm not sure why Yuumi actually ulted here, but yeah, not too much I can really do about that. I'm not going to walk up to let her hit the ult because that's going to put me in a lot of unnecessary danger. So Jinx, what support does she really want to play with? Well, Jinx prefers enchanters. Now honestly, the best supports for Jinx are Yuumi and Lulu. They're basically, Yuumi and Lulu, their sole job is really to just buff you and to keep you alive, which is what Jinx really wants, because she is a ADC that is basically just pure damage with basically almost no safety. Like, your only safety is really your traps. Here you can see Twitch comes in for the gank, nearly dies, but Syndra is able to come in and clean up the both of them as well. So we do, not we, but we as in the team, but Syndra is able to actually pick up both kills. We are also able to pick up, me and Yuumi are also able to pick up 2 plates. The Annie is about to face check into the Syndra. Yeah, nothing too much else happens here. I'm rocking back here so Yuumi can attach and doesn't get stunned by the Annie. But here Syndra goes for a very aggressive play with the ulti. Annie left at 1 HP. Before my rocket fires off, Syndra is able to get the kill. So Syndra now 3-0 Giga fed. Like 4 minutes into the game. We do have the 2 assists, which we are really happy with, so we're not gonna complain too much there. Of course kills would have been better, but assists, you know, they're fine as well. We're not dying, all good. So here we actually have a very awkward situation where we have enough gold to pick up our entire Bloodthirster. So instead of going for our boots, we actually pick up the entire Bloodthirster first, because just having a completed item is just so much better than having just your boots and like a couple item components. And Jin actually has the same approach, right? He actually has a collector first item instead of you know, having boots, so it's kind of on par in that sense. Yeah, so basically Jinx kind of wants a enchanter like Yuumi or Lulu being the best. Of course other enchanters like Soraka or Janna still work, but they're not really the best, you know, compared to Yuumi or Lulu. And Jinx with engagers do technically work. Here I have to flash the Thresh ult because I'm afraid that if he hits that, he flays and you know, I'm going to take a lot of damage from Jin. Don't want to take the risk, we're just going to flash, especially because we have Hex Flash. You can use the flash a little bit more liberally. The enemy team is doing the dragon, and there's not a lot we can really do about that. Because our team is on the Herald, which is normally the better objective to go for anyway. So they do get the dragon. We don't want to walk up too far because we know they're in the dragon area, so they can just come and gank us if we, you know, overextend. So how well does Jinx work with engagers? Well, Jinx does work okay with engagers. Like if you have a Leona or Nautilus or that, the Jinx lane is still fine. It's just that Jinx prefers enchanters, especially in solo queue. Because in the early game, if your engager engages a lot and you can't really do enough damage, it's not really going to work out. But if you guys get fed and, you know, it could work out, Now here Twitch is invis, which actually causes Thresh to go in. I try to Hex Flash over the box, but it doesn't really work, and I'm doing so little damage. You can see, like, if I had an engager there, you can see what problems we will be having, which is that it's so difficult to do damage. We slow down the Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix has nowhere to run, and we're actually able to pick up 1 kill and 1 assist. Syndra picks up the other kill. Syndra is 5-0, and honestly, Syndra's roams have been completely insane. She's always here at the right time, and you know, here to kind of help out the team to pick up kills for herself and, you know, for us as well. And she even has a Magi's first item just because of how fed she is, which is a pretty interesting pickup. And I'm not sure why she has 2 rings in her inventory, but yeah, I mean, she is 5-0. She's really fed. Not yet completed her Ludens though, which is a little bit awkward, considering how she is so fed but doesn't have a completed item. Because Magi's is not exactly a completed item. It's like a, you know, tier 2 item. So here I Hex Flash away from the Thresh hook. You know, as I said, you have Hex Flash, you can just use it liberally. No, you know, no need to save it for any kind of reason, right? So here I'm making use of our range with our rockets, you know, spacing the Jin to make sure he can't hit us. And here Twitch is coming down again, so we are kind of ready, you know, to start a fight if we need to. I'm actually just kind of standing still and just walking up. Now Jin actually face checks into the bush where Twitch happens to be, and we're actually able to pick up a quick kill onto the Jin, and now we're just focusing the Thresh. We're able to pick up the Thresh as well, and Yuumi is able to save the Lulu's life. We pick up a double kill, and now we're going to head over to mid. Now Syndra all-ins onto the Annie, who is now at 1 HP. I'm trying to, you know, trace her path, hit her with the rocket, and he actually connects for another kill. So kind of one of the kind of skills on Jinx is trying to predict where the enemy is going to walk based on, you know, where when they're low. Normally just going to walk straight back towards where they are. Sometimes they're going to stop somewhere for a back. So you have to kind of guess whether they're going to keep walking or they're going to be backing somewhere or whatnot, and just launch your rocket, and you know, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, and those are one of the times that it actually hit, and you know, you just get a free kill, you know, just by expending your ultimate, which is always amazing. So here, since we've already taken down the bot tower, we're actually going to rotate over to mid, where we actually hide behind the vision line, so Syndra could maybe go onto Thresh and we could follow up, but doesn't quite happen because the enemy team looks like they're going to be rotating up. You can see Annie's moving up, and I think Thresh is going to be quite close behind her, most likely. So here, we're just going to quickly... Actually, Thresh does not follow her. Thresh is in this bush. Yuumi with a beautiful veil to basically save my life. I'm taking a lot of damage, and I have to pop my flash. Here, I actually nearly kill the Jin. Yuumi actually detaches to help to block the Jin shots, but doesn't actually end up needing to. But here you can see Jin and me are both on 1 HP, so I guess it's kind of fair. Neither one dies and neither one gets the kill. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to want to give him the kill there. That's a huge shutdown to the pocket of Jin. Huge wave is accumulating in the bot lane and the mid lane tower as well, actually. So we're going to head back over to the bot lane to quickly clear the wave and make sure we don't lose too much gold to the tower. There's one entire wave down here, getting all of those last hits. Dragon is spawning pretty soon. And I'm trying to complete my Runan's Hurricane before the dragon. I think this wave is going to give me enough, so I'm kind of just hard shoving the wave. I do get enough from Runan's Hurricane, so I'm going to back. The Runan's is going to be very, very useful in the dragon team fight if there is an actual team fight that ends up breaking out, which we, of course, don't really know if it's going to happen or not. So we're going to pick up the Runan's Hurricane. We're going to quickly reset, and on the way, pick up the red buff as well. Ornn is on the wrong side of the map. But he is making his way down. Here is trying to see if we can get any picks, but there is a control ward that it does spot us out. For some reason, Annie still overextends a lot, and so does the Jin. Annie just completely gets caught out, even though she saw us coming on the control ward. So we get a free pick onto Annie, and this should be a relatively free dragon. We're just going to put down the traps to force the enemies to walk around and zone them out a little bit. Kha'Zix comes out of nowhere because he is invisible. We're going to focus on the Kha'Zix. He dies. We're going to flash away because Yone is focusing us. Jin unfortunately lives because of the glacial augment of the Thresh slowing us down. So instead we're going to just run down the Thresh. Now we can see with the Yuumi given the movement speed, Thresh hits a pretty nice hook. Unfortunately, we don't hit the slow on the W. So here he hooks me again into the tower, flays me into the tower as well. But it really doesn't matter because we have Yuumi and there's no way we don't get this kill. Annie and Yone are now here, but we know that Yone doesn't have ulti because he just ulted in the Dragon Pit, so we're not too scared whatsoever, although we really should be because Annie can just I was gonna say Annie can flash forward and stun us, but the reality is she doesn't have flash. She has barrier and ignite, and she also doesn't have proto belt yet. So I guess what I initially say is correct. We don't actually have to be scared because Yone can't get on top of us, and neither can Annie because Annie doesn't have flash. So here Ornn was getting caught out, but we end up actually helping out instead. And here we hit a ulti onto the Annie, just gonna run her down, and we get the kill. Ornn gets the kill onto the Jhin, and it all works out. So here we're gonna quickly get this tower, get the reset, and we're now just blasting the Thresh again in a very similar situation to just now. Of course, we know he's gonna hook, so we dodge it this time. And here we are going to just focus down the tower. Thresh is trying to do something, but he's just a support. He can't really do much. Again, we're just gonna focus him down. This time he overcommits onto the Ornn, who is a tank who can't die, and we get a free kill onto Thresh, who's only worth 150 gold at this point. We also get the inhibitor as a freebie, and we're gonna go to the mid lane to clear out the wave before we reset. And here we're going to get off a reset, get both components that we need for our magnetic blaster, almost towards the blaster itself. And here that ping's coming out for Baron because my team is like basically 10k gold up on the enemy team, and we are really fed. Me and Syndra, the two important carries, are very fed. Ornn is also doing decently well as our front line. The only person not doing too well is Twitch, and that's only because of KDA. In reality, he has been getting off some really good ganks, and he's been doing really well as well. In terms of goal-wise, he is definitely doing way better than the enemy team, so in reality, our whole team is doing well. Twitch is getting caught out by Yone, though, so we're trying to make our way there as quickly as we can. Now here, Twitch picks up the kill onto Yone. We're going to flash over, focusing the Jinx. Sorry, not the Jinx, the Jhin. Can't really reach him, so we're going to have to pop the ulti to finish him off, and then we're going to just run onto the next target, which is Kha'Zix, and here we're going to get the kill onto the Thresh for the Quadra, and actually that was Penta if Twitch Poison didn't actually end up killing the first person, Yone, which is a little bit unfortunate, but yeah. So enemy team actually surrenders off of the Quadra kill, and we do pick up the swift victory. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.